Look at it from a human perspective. Let's suppose for a moment you have an individual that's been an abuser their whole lives. They have been deceived to think that somehow they've gained power over a situation by being abusive and aggressive. They've succeeded in it once or twice. So, this is a great tool. I know I can use this. So they have made personal covenant to hold friendship or close akin to the spirit of aggression, the spirit of hostility, because man, oh man, it motivates my people when I get on their butts and I'm driving them. And they become a taskmaster. Because they haven't sought the presence of divinity to understand what would the outcome be if I wasn't driving people in anger, hostility, or aggression. So again, if we talk back to what Stephen was saying, that which they do is the spirits that govern the nature of their action. And then we look to what's going on in a nation. Let's imagine the crowd that's trying to stone Stephen is the crowd of that individual trying to tear down a certain leader. They're trying to crucify the leader with everything that's inside themselves. Mm-hmm. So if they are hatred of narcissism, or if they have hatred of self-deceit, or if they have hatred towards any of these things, they haven't taken the gap moment and given over to God and said, God, I trust you. I release any judgment that I hold within my heart, especially any hatred that I have allowed to form in me by the words of others. Because if you want to look at it from a biblical standpoint, where they're talking about thou shalt not bear false witness, we live in a day where every single day is false witness upon those that are leaders. They are fabricating news, they are fabricating incidents, they are taking things out of context, and that's a constant state. So here, people are trying to glean understanding out of a process that's already spiritually corrupt. But now they're coming to it themselves with hatred formed by a corrupt instructional process. But if they would honestly, genuinely say, I don't want the hatred. I don't want the judgment. I choose to release, and I take the gap moment. Yahweh, I gift unto you the spirit of hostility, the spirit of aggression, most of all the spirit of hatred and judgment, and that critical spirit that formed so deep within my friends and I as we were tearing down the leaders within our nation. So we come out of the critical nature and we start to see, oh my God, not just that it was present in them as leaders, but the fact that it was first present in me, which, that means that the demonic descending from the order of principalities into humanity was governing the body of a nation to function through self-denial, self-deception, lying, deceitfulness, aggression, hatred, judgment, critical spirit. If I release those things, I now gain the divine perspective to say, oh my God, isn't it beautiful that these have risen within our leaders? Because what's rising in our leaders is what's happening in the body of those they serve. Mm-hmm. So we pray now not to tear the leadership down, not to destroy a certain candidate, not to ruin somebody's life, but we look at it and say, oh my God, this needs to be turned within me. And oh my God, this needs to be turned within a nation. And now we pray for our leaders to begin to reflect the divine nature within them, which is clarity, wisdom, integrity, purity, sanctity, grace, compassion. And then you start to realize that, wait a minute, I'm not governed by the crowd anymore. The gap moment now becomes the response, which is godly response. And then the result becomes godly response. We find the leader that we once hated becomes the one that we're uplifting, and they change because they start to reflect what's going on in the body of a nation. Those who are in the greatest level of agreement will manifest a measurable result. We start to see contention from one group to another group to another group to another group, and everybody hating this and doing it. We pray change. from within ourselves first. Then we become instruments within the prayer process. If we don't release these things, we are of zero value in the prayer process. We are only a benefit for continued demise, the continued destruction of what we're witnessing unfold.